I ended my engagement after my fiancée said she needed a break to explore things with her ex. I sold our house and walked away without looking back. Imagine planning your entire future with someone, pouring your heart into a dream wedding, only to discover they saw you as nothing more than a placeholder, a backup plan while they secretly explored old flames. I thought I was marrying the love of my life, but it turns out I was just her contingency, and when I found out, I refused to play along. So here's the thing. Until recently, I truly believed I was set to marry the love of my life, Tessa. We'd been together for 4 years, and for the most part, I thought we were rock solid. But now, sitting here, I'm wondering why I didn't see the signs sooner. Tessa and I met at a birthday party, introduced by a mutual friend. She was funny, confident, and had this no-nonsense attitude that I really admired. I'd dated before, but no one ever connected with me the way she did. We hit it off fast, and within a year, we'd moved in together. Everything felt natural, like we were on the same page about our careers, marriage, and eventually, starting a family. She was a freelance graphic designer, I was a project manager, so our schedules aligned pretty well. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was good. We'd been talking about getting married for a while, but it wasn't until last year that I finally proposed. Nothing fancy, just a quiet dinner at home, just the two of us. Tessa seemed thrilled. She cried, hugged me, and said yes. That night, we started envisioning our future, a fall wedding, a small guest list, a charming little venue by the lake. It felt like everything was falling into place. Or so I thought. The initial red flags were small, sneaky little things that I brushed off because I didn't want to overthink it. Like, Tessa's enthusiasm for wedding planning just faded after a few months. She was all in at first, sending me Pinterest boards, looking through dresses, asking about tiny details like tulips or roses for centerpieces. But suddenly, it just stopped. I'd ask her, "Hey, have you picked your bridesmaids yet?" And she'd just shrug it off. "Not yet. I'm still thinking about it." The same thing happened with her dress, the cake, the music. Every decision we'd been so excited about became something she wanted to postpone. "There's still time," she'd say. The wedding seemed like an afterthought. At the time, I told myself it was just stress. Wedding planning can be overwhelming, right? Plus, Tessa had a lot going on with work. I figured she'd snap out of it eventually. What I didn't realize was that her lack of enthusiasm wasn't about the wedding at all. It was about us. The true slap in the face happened one night while we were out with some friends. Someone brought up that dumb TikTok game. You know, the one where you answer personal questions and try not to judge? Everything was going fine until someone asked, if you could relive one relationship, which one would it be? Without missing a beat, Tessa responded, "Oh, probably Dylan." Just like that. Dylan, her college ex, the guy who cheated on her. The moment she said it, the room went awkwardly silent. She giggled nervously and tried to backtrack. I mean, not that I'd want to. It's just a significant part of my past. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but we were in front of friends, so I let it go. Later, when we were alone, I asked her about it. What was it about Dylan? Why would you want to revisit that relationship? She just shrugged it off like it was no big deal. It was a stupid game, Liam, don't take it so seriously. She smiled and changed the subject. I didn't press it, because honestly, I didn't want to start a fight over something that could have been minor. But deep down, it stayed with me. After that, her behavior became harder to ignore. She was on her phone more, scrolling through texts with a little smirk. She started coming up with vague excuses for why she couldn't hang out or why she'd cancel plans at the last minute. "Oh, sorry, I just have a lot of work to catch up on tonight," she'd usually say. Or, "I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend." The excuses weren't overtly suspicious, but they were piling up. It felt like I had become less of a priority. Then came Friday night. That's when everything changed. I got home from work early, excited to spend the evening with Tessa. I was hoping we could order in and binge watch something, just a quiet night. But when I walked in, the atmosphere felt off. She was sitting on the couch with her laptop, but she wasn't working. She was just staring at the screen, completely unfocused. "Hey, I'm home," I murmured, trying to break the tension. "You're early," she said, like it was a bad thing. I shrugged it off and went into the kitchen to start dinner. But the silence in the house was heavy. Usually, she'd ask about my day or tell me about hers. Tonight, nothing. Finally, I turned around and asked, Is everything okay? She snapped her laptop shut and looked at me. Actually, she said, there's something I need to talk to you about. My stomach sank. You know that feeling when you know something awful is coming but you can't stop it? That was me, standing there like an idiot with a spatula in one hand. I walked over and sat across from her. All right, I said, what's going on? She paused, as if she were trying to find the right words. Then she just blurted it out. I've been thinking about us, and about Dylan. I swear, I almost laughed. Dylan? Are you serious? What about him? She bit her lip and avoided my gaze. I think I need some time to think things through. I'd like to take a break and see if there's still something there with him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You want to take a break and date your ex? Are you out of your mind, Tessa? We're engaged. It's not like that, she responded hurriedly, as if she could smooth things over. I just want to know if I'm making the right choice with you. And if it doesn't work out, I promise to come back. That's when I realized how deep her sheer audacity was. She actually expected me to just sit around and wait for her to decide if I was good enough. Something inside me shifted at that very instant. I didn't yell. I didn't blow up. I just sat there, staring at her, wondering how the hell I hadn't seen this coming. I wasn't sure how to answer at first. My fiancée just told me she wants to take a break to explore things with her ex, Dylan. What do you even say to that? Finally, I asked. So, what does this break mean to you? My voice came out calmer than I felt. She straightened up slightly, as if she'd prepared for this conversation. I think we need some space to figure things out. I'll take some time to see if my feelings for Dylan are genuine, and you are welcome to reflect on us as well. I couldn't believe the audacity. Wait, I replied, leaning forward. You're saying you need to date your ex, but I need to reflect on us? What kind of backwards logic is that? Tessa sighed, as if I were the one acting unreasonable. It's not about you doing something wrong, Liam. This is about me figuring out what I need. She seemed to have practiced this, the way she spoke, the way she avoided eye contact. It was as if she had already decided this was going to happen and simply wanted me to accept it. You know this sounds insane, right? I muttered. You don't just put your fiancé on hold while you go play. What if with some guy who treated you like garbage? Her face tightened, and for the first time, I realized how stubborn she could be. I'm not asking for permission, Liam. I'm telling you what I need. That one landed differently. I wasn't just sad anymore. I was angry. I stood up and started pacing, hoping to calm myself down. So what, Tessa? You're just going to pack a bag and head over to Dylan's place? Is that your big plan? No, she insisted. It's not like that. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to know I'm making the right decision. You owe it to yourself? I asked, laughing cruelly. And what about what you owe me? We're engaged, Tessa. We're supposed to be building a life together, and now you're telling me you need to test drive your ex to make sure I'm good enough? I never said you weren't good enough, she replied, her voice rising. But if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I have to be certain. And right now, I'm not. That was it. She wasn't simply interested in exploring things with Dylan. She was also unsure about me. Even after 4 years together and all of our plans, she was still unsure. It struck me all at once. She hadn't realized how painful and stupid her plea was. She believed this was reasonable, that I'd just sit there while she figured out whatever foolishness was going through her head. I stopped pacing and looked at her, really stared at her. You know what? Sure, I responded, my tone flat. Take your break. She blinked, surprised by how quickly I agreed. Liam, I'm not trying to hurt you. I need space to figure things out. I nodded, keeping my expression blank. All right, if that's what you need. She paused, as if she expected me to argue or fight for her. When I didn't, she stood up, grabbed her laptop, and murmured, I'll stay at my mom's for a bit. This isn't forever. We'll talk when I've had some time, okay? Okay, I replied simply. She looked at me, wondering how to respond, and then disappeared into the bedroom. I could hear her moving around, throwing items into a bag. I remained calm on the couch, but my mind was already racing. If she really wants a break, that's fine. Let her have it. Several minutes later, I heard the front door close. She was gone, perhaps believing she had abandoned me here to wait and worry. She had no idea. I was not going to sit around and do nothing. She could have her fantasy, but I had other ideas. Now, I'll provide an update once I've set some things in motion. This is not going to end the way she expects it to. Thank you for your feedback and suggestions on my last post. A lot has happened this week, and I'd like to report on how things are going. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone in this community for their incredible support. Many of you mentioned that I shouldn't just sit around waiting, and you were absolutely correct. I've been busy putting everything into motion. First, I call my friend Noah. He's been my best friend since college, and he's not the type of guy to sugarcoat things. After hearing the full story, he brought over pizza, and we spent the entire night scheming. Dude, you realize she's going to try to crawl back once things don't work out with Dylan, right? Noah reminded me. He was right, of course. The more we talked, the more obvious it became that I needed to be proactive. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about regaining control of my life. I started with the house. Tessa doesn't seem to recall that it's entirely in my name. She loves to act as if it's our home, always talking about the curtains and paint colors she chose. Yet I'm the one who pays the mortgage. I called a realtor first thing Monday morning. The realtor came by to see the property, and we decided to list it right away. The market in our neighborhood is hot right now, and we already have several potential purchasers. Tessa has no idea. She probably believes I'm sitting here in our shared home, waiting for her to sort out her feelings. The next step was to gradually remove her from my life. You remember those live, laugh, love placards she insisted on putting up? Gone. Those expensive throw pillows? Donated. Her clothing and personal belongings that she left behind? I carefully packaged them all up. But this is where I got strategic. Instead of just dropping her belongings off at her mother's house, or having her come fetch them, I hired a moving company. They took everything to her mother's house and left a short note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan. I know some of you may think this is petty, but I disagree. I'm not being vengeful. I'm being efficient. She wanted some room to think things through. Well, she's got it. Literally. The most fascinating part came when mutual friends started asking questions. Instead of playing the victim or slandering her, I simply stated the truth. Tessa decided she needed to explore things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. You should have seen how people responded to that. No drama, no accusations, just facts. It's amazing how rapidly the story changes when you don't try to control it. I've also been making moves at work. I applied for a position at our West Coast office that I'd been considering for a long time. If the house sells, which seems quite likely, and I get this job, I'll be starting over on the other side of the country. Tessa has attempted to contact me several times this week. First, with lighthearted texts like, "Hope you're doing okay," and progressing to progressively concerned messages when she learned I was actually making changes, rather than simply waiting around. Yesterday, she was in a panic when her mother informed her that the boxes had been delivered. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" I kept my response simple. "Because it is over, Tessa. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine." She started crying, claiming that she simply wanted time to figure things out, that I was being quick, and that this was not what she meant when she asked for a break. "What did you expect?" I questioned her. "That I'd sit here like a faithful puppy while you test drove your ex? That's not how this works." "But what if I realize you're the one I want?" she wailed. "Then you'll have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted," I said, before hanging up the phone. The weird thing is, I'm no longer upset. Instead, I feel liberated. Every box I pack, every move I make, feels like I'm reclaiming parts of myself that I didn't realize I'd given up. Noah came by again yesterday to help me with packing the house. He also saw the change in me. "You seem different," he observed. "More focused." He's correct. I am different. When Tessa first revealed her desire to pursue things with Dylan, I felt like my world was falling apart. Now I see it wasn't my world collapsing, but rather the false reality I'd been living in finally disintegrating. I have more things in the works, but I will hold them for the next update. For the time being, I'll simply say this. Sometimes the greatest way to respond to someone treating you as an option is to completely remove yourself from their list of options. Stay tuned. This narrative hasn't ended yet, and I have a feeling Tessa is finding that her break to straighten things out isn't going to go nearly as planned. I appreciate all of the feedback on my recent update. Things have escalated significantly, and I'd like to tell you how the situation has evolved. Remember how I mentioned applying for that West Coast position? Okay, I got it. The timing couldn't be more perfect. The house is under contract, and the closing is slated for next month. But that's only the beginning. What's particularly interesting is how Tessa's Dylan exploration is unfolding. Through mutual connections, I discovered that their restored passion isn't quite the fairy tale she envisioned. Apparently, for years haven't changed him much. He's still the untrustworthy guy who cheated on her in college. But here's when it gets good. Tessa has attempted to control the narrative on social media. She's been sharing vague, inspiring phrases about finding yourself and following your heart. So, I decided to play the same game, but with a twist. I created a single, factual post. Update on my life. Excited to announce I've accepted a position in San Francisco. Sometimes when one door closes, better ones open. Looking forward to this new chapter. The comments and texts began pouring in. People congratulated me, inquired about the relocation, and of course, wondered about Tessa. I kept my answers basic and honest. We're no longer together. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm exploring mine too. This set off a fantastic chain reaction in our social circle. Remember those friends who weren't sure about the situation? Watching me handle this with grace, as Tessa shared cryptic relationship quotes, completely changed the atmosphere. Then came the professional consequences. Tessa's freelance design business is primarily based on recommendations and networking. Sarah, a mutual contact in the tech field who used to refer many clients to Tessa, contacted me. I need to know what happened, Sarah explained over coffee. Tess is telling people you're having a temporary separation to grow individually, but something feels off. I shared Tessa's note about wanting to date Dylan. Sarah's look said it all. She did not believe it. By the end of the week, numerous potential clients had pushed back their projects with Tessa. Not because I said anything nasty, but because honestly, who wants to work with someone who takes commitment so lightly? Tessa sensed the shift. Her texts became more frequent and frantic. Why are you telling people about Dylan? You're ruining my reputation. This isn't fair. I just needed time to think. I answered to the last one. You got what you wanted, time and space. How I spend mine is no longer your concern. Then came the turning point. Dylan, in his wonderful wisdom, shared a photo of them together at the restaurant where Tessa and I had our first date. It was evident she was attempting to recreate our history with him. It was both sad and funny. The post didn't last long, but the damage was done. Our friends witnessed it, and the remaining few individuals who supported Tessa's finding myself story lost respect for her. Even her own sister contacted me. I'm so sorry about how she's handling this. You deserve better. What's the most satisfying part? I didn't have to be vengeful. I simply lived my life freely and honestly, whereas Tessa attempted to play both sides. The truth has a way of emerging. She visited my office yesterday. Dylan seemed to have already revealed his true colors, flirting with other women, being untrustworthy, a familiar story. She was crying. I made a huge mistake, she cried. I was scared of commitment. I thought I needed to know if there was something better out there, but I was wrong. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I simply gazed at her calmly. No, Tessa. The best thing that ever happened to me was you showing your true colors before we got married. She attempted to argue, claiming that we could fix this, that she would go to counseling, and that she would prove she could be trusted again. I simply shook my head. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about Dylan anymore. This is about you thinking you could keep me as a backup while you explore your options. That's not love. That's convenience. She left my office distraught, but I felt better than ever. The house closes next week. The majority of my belongings are packed, and my new life in San Francisco begins in a month. The funny thing is that some folks think I'm being overly tough. Everyone makes mistakes, they explain. However, this was not a mistake. It was a choice. There were actually several choices involved. Every time she texted Dylan, every time she lied about where she was, she spent every second planning to put our life on hold. These were all choices. I'll provide another update once the move is complete. For the time being, I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, but rather getting better. And this is exactly what I'm doing. Next update. Thank you for following my journey. This will be my final update, and I have some interesting developments to report. San Francisco is everything I imagined it would be. My new apartment has a stunning view of the bay, and the tech scene here is fantastic. My new office team is amazing. It's refreshing to be around people who prioritize growth and innovation over drama. But first, let me catch you up on how things ended back home. The closing went smoothly, and the house actually sold for more than the asking price. It was interesting to see Tessa's reaction after finding out through mutual friends. She didn't believe I'd sold the house until she drove by, and saw the new owners moving in. Here's where it got really interesting. Remember Dylan? He reached out to me, of all people. He sent me a long message about how he never meant to cause problems, and that Tessa had contacted him first months before she requested the break. Tessa had been planning her little exploration for quite some time. She had been messaging Dylan for months, carefully laying the groundwork for her backup strategy. What's with the irony? Dylan ended their relationship because, as he put it, if she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. Tessa's professional fallout has been significant. Remember all the clients she'd lined up? Most of them discovered other designers, not because I said anything, but because word spreads in the industry. One of her largest clients actually contacted me. We heard what happened with the engagement, they told us. We're looking for someone who can commit to long-term projects. Do you know any reliable designers? I recommended a talented acquaintance of mine, and she received the contract. Karma, I suppose. Tessa's social media meltdown has been something to see. Then came the sorrowful quotations about losing your sweetheart, followed by angry posts about toxic people who can't handle growth. Finally, she made urgent attempts to show everyone how delighted she was. The final one was quite interesting. She wrote about beginning her own design firm. 3 days later, she began sending out job applications. Last week, her sister contacted me again. Tessa has apparently been staying with their parents, stating she needs time to heal from our separation. Her sister's exact words were, "She really thought you'd wait for her. When you sold the house and moved, it broke her fantasy completely." The most reassuring moment occurred during a video call with our old friend group. They were telling me about local gossip, and someone described seeing Tessa at a coffee shop, explaining to a potential customer why her portfolio website was down. Apparently, she forgot that I was the one who set it up and maintained it. She couldn't figure out how to restore her hosting membership when it expired. Not my concern anymore. My new life here is coming together well. I've joined a hiking group, started learning how to surf, and my new team at work is genuinely inspiring. I occasionally run into someone who knows Tessa's side of the story, but my life speaks for itself. I made a choice to value myself, to respect my boundaries, and to pursue a life where I am not a backup option. It wasn't easy, and it certainly wasn't without pain. But standing here today, I can confidently say I'm happier, stronger, and more at peace than I've ever been. And that, truly, is the best revenge.